Coming up today on Wit from Whit Radio.
So I thought, oh yeah, like this is what everybody does. Like, you always do what you love from the beginning.
My guest, Caroline Grace Williams, is sharing how her life as a performer is the life she knows and loves.
Singing, dancing, and acting are like my strongest suits.
She's talking all things pureNRG, iShine KNECT, and more.
Because I do feel like I got the best of both worlds.
Oh, and what about a pureNRG reunion?
I would love that.
Plus, get to know her better in a Wit from Whit minute and learn about her blog, Sweet Caroline Grace.
Writing my life.
Wit from Whit Radio starts right now. Well, to describe my next guest as a triple threat performer might just be a bit of an understatement. With her childhood and young adult life spent on stage, Caroline Grace Williams is a seasoned actress, dancer, and singer whose professional resume includes work in theater, film, and music. From 2006 to 2011, Caroline was one of 3 members in pureNRG, a Christian pop group with Fervent Records. She later went on to join the cast of iShine KNECT, a faith-based variety show airing on the Trinity Broadcasting Network. Caroline is a Nashville native who attended Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and was crowned Miss Oxford in 2017. Most recently, she's added blogger to her list of titles with a project called Sweet Caroline Grace. I'm so honored to have on the show today Caroline Grace Williams. Hi, Caroline. Welcome to Wit from Whit Radio.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. And I love that introduction. I feel like I should record that whenever I'm having a bad day. You make me sound so accomplished.
Well, you know, I like to do my homework. But yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, it's totally an honor to have you on, and I'm excited to talk to you about your life and your talents and career and this blog you've created. So that's coming up. But since you have a musical background, though, I think it's appropriate to say, let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start.
I love it.
So at what age did you start your journey in the performing arts?
So I actually did my very first show when I was 4 years old. And it was a Christmas show, and I had a solo singing I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. And apparently after that show, I came off of the stage and I said to my mom, I just love this stage. And so I guess since that kind of really started my passion for the arts, and then it was just always incorporated in my life. So I would always do auditions for different things, whether it was like local community theater or commercials or something like that, because I really just loved to perform. And I loved meeting people, and I kind of loved the whole atmosphere of the, theater world. And so I don't know, I guess I just kind of fell into it, and that's how it all really started. I was really fortunate that I had parents that were really supportive and kind of helped me get involved at such a young age. So I don't think I really knew that it was different to kind of lead this lifestyle. So it wasn't like I really had a moment, like an aha moment where I knew this is what I wanted to do. I had just always kind of been involved. And so I thought, oh yeah, like this is what everybody does. Like, you always do what you love from the beginning.
Would you mind listing kind of your abilities and talents as a performer? I mentioned the triple threat thing, but what all can you do?
I guess I kind of started as a dancer. I started taking dance when I was 3 and did competitive dance competitions. And then my mom put me in voice lessons when I was about maybe like 7 or 8, maybe 9, somewhere in those years.
Yeah.
And I started doing voice lessons. And then with pureNRG is when I really started seriously taking voice lessons and really kind of developing my voice and learning that you don't just sing, you're a vocal athlete. And, having a vocal career is just like having a football career, is that it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of practice. And then through pureNRG, I feel like that kind of introduced me into acting too, because I had always been, involved with musical theater, and I loved musical theater, and I loved telling stories. And even as a young girl in dance, our dance teachers were always saying we're actors first. Like dance is just the medium that you use to tell a story. Luckily, because I took dance, my dance studio was really into being well-rounded. So I can also tumble. So I have a little bit of gymnastics. I like to cake decorate. I can do a pretty good Celine Dion impersonation.
Nice.
I don't know. I'm just listing random facts now. But I'd say definitely singing, dancing, and acting are like my specialties, I guess, definitely my strongest suits.
I mean, I got to ask about the Celine Dion impression now, though.
So when I was younger, well, actually Caroline and pureNRG, we loved Celine Dion. Like we would love to listen to her music. And she has this one live CD from her Vegas show. And we would love to listen to it over and over and try to get that unique French Canadian accent. And so we kind of like mastered it. And I have it on my resume now. And I've actually been to a few auditions where they see it in the miscellaneous skills.
Yeah.
And after I sing my song, do my bit, they're like, can you do your Celine Dion impersonation? So it's really funny, but it's a nice icebreaker. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, give a taste. Give a taste.
Till now, I'd always come by on my own. I never really cared until I met you.
Nice. I need to put in like a little clapping sound effect there. So very nice. All right. But hey, let's talk about pureNRG now. And you just mentioned the other Caroline. There are two Carolines in pureNRG.
Yes.
But we got to talk about the timeline of that experience. And, you know, being the teeny bopper Christian kid I'm very familiar with the group. You all sang, you danced, you did crazy flips and all this cool stuff. But what was pureNRG all about and how did that opportunity come your way?
So when I was about 8 years old, my mom always took me and my older brother, who was also in performing. She would always take us to auditions. And so we were kind of in that network of, getting calls about auditions and kind of being notified when things came to town. And she'd gotten a call actually about my older brother, because when they were first holding auditions, they thought that it was going to be kind of an older group. And it was the same management company that had created Jump 5. And Jump 5 was so successful with kind of bridging the gaps between kids music and adult music, kind of having this middle genre. And so Jump 5 had, gotten older and had a very successful career, but they still felt that there was that need for this tween pop music. So they originally hosted auditions for older kids. And then somehow the age just kept getting younger and younger. And when it finally came to my age, 8 years old, that's when I was called in. And so it was like a crazy day. I think it was like a hot summer day in July, like on a Sunday or something. And we came to this little tiny dance studio and we each like sing a song, did a little mini dance, and then they taught us to dance. It was like within that week or something that we got a call that Jordan, Caroline, and I, they wanted us to be in this group called pureNRG. Well, at the time, it wasn't called that. There were so many names that we went through. But from there's when it really started. So it was kind of one of those things that just really happened. One of those things you look back now and you're like, wow, this was really meant to be, because we all happened to be in the right place at the same time. And then naturally and so organically, it just came together. So yes, we were a Christian pop group. And our mission was, like I mentioned earlier, to kind of bridge the gap between children's music and adult music and have this kind of tween pop for kind of that middle age that, is really in that transition into adulthood. And so we were a group for about 8 years and we had 5 different CDs and it was a Christian group. So a lot of our music did revolve around like religious lyrics and religious text. And we toured with a couple different tours. We did Winter Jam and we toured with Casting Crowns, and it was a lot of fun to kind of meet people all around the world because we got the opportunity to travel out of the country a few times. And so it made my childhood really anything but ordinary. It was definitely different. But like I kind of said earlier too, with the performing, I had been performing from such a young age. I didn't really think it was a different lifestyle. I just was really blessed to kind of lead this alternative lifestyle, I guess.
Jumping in there, do you ever think of yourself as like a child star or something? I mean, what was the balance like for, kind of a normal life versus a pop star life? I mean, was it best of both worlds, that sort of thing?
It's so funny that you said that because of 2 things. One, my friends in college would always joke and be like, they call me CG for Caroline Grace. And they say, CG was a child star. And they'd bring it up randomly, especially like in sorority recruitment. And it was hilarious. And also my college admission essay, I actually wrote about Hannah Montana's song, The Best of Both Worlds, because I do feel like I got the best of both worlds. I got this great opportunity to perform professionally, but, we ended when I was 16. So I still went to the majority of high school. And even though we are homeschooled and traveling a lot, our parents were very good about working with our manager to set a schedule that allowed us to be home as much as possible, especially for like Christmas and Easter and big holidays, just so we weren't missing out on our childhood. I have this unique experience, but I also still got to go to people's sweet 16s and sleepover birthday parties, and I still got to watch all the High School Musical premieres. So I didn't miss out on much.
Yeah. Let's roll through some pureNRG topics here because I know there are going to be some hardcore fans who stumble across this. But what are some highlights you can share really quick? I mean, what stands out?
We got to travel to Norway, and that was so much fun to get to see this completely different country that is not similar to USA at all. Different language, different culture. We tried to learn a little bit of Norwegian, but all I remember is tusen takk, which is thank you very much, and hallo, which is hello.
Nice.
We went on a couple of mission trips to Mexico. And actually the first mission trip we went on, we really saw the need for a bus at this one particular orphanage. We decided as a group that we wanted a portion of our CD sales to go towards buying this orphanage a bus. And so
Awesome.
we did that, and we got to go back down and actually gift the bus to them. And that was amazing to know that we were doing something for a greater purpose, and that was providing a transportation so that these students could get to school, because they were using a 15-passenger van and fitting like 40 people in it or something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really rewarding and kind of an interesting, awesome experience. Some other highlights, I think it's little stories, funny things that people don't know happened, like in the recording studio. I usually try to call Caroline and we reminisce on a lot of things, or we find an old picture or something like that. We used to always hang out with our manager. She was so sweet. She would like have girls' nights and take us out to dinner. And she was a great role model for us. And she's still a great role model we both look up to. She's so sweet. The one we called the manager, we really did love her.
The manager, very nice, cool.
I think some of the people we met too, people that stick out in your head and that we still connect with from across the world. We made connections in Canada. I still talk to our friends from Norway. Usually the women we were touring with would be our role models. And so somehow we would always end up like having them do our makeup and hair for the shows or something like that. And so like Blanca from Group One Crew, she used to always do our hair and makeup before shows. And so that was always fun. Just little things like that to a 12-year-old, it like makes their world.
Do you have a favorite pureNRG album or song, though?
I think my favorite album might be Here We Go Again.
Any songs that stick out?
I think Inside Out is a good one. It's Still Love, an oldie but goodie.
Yeah.
And I always like Sweet Jesus because I think it's just sweet.
I was going to say my favorite in listening was actually The Real Thing, and your voice was nicely featured on Sweet Jesus. So yeah, that was nice. We know all good things must come to an end, including pureNRG. So what was the decision behind disbanding, and post pureNRG, what was the plan?
Yeah, so that was a really hard time in my life, actually. You know, we were getting to be like 16, 17. I think Jordan was 17. Caroline was 15. Maybe I was 16. You know, I know Caroline felt that she was missing out. She really wanted to go back to school. Jordan was like turning 18 and becoming an adult. And I think, you know, he was looking at the next chapter of his life. And it just kind of came to the decision that it was best to kind of end the group now. It was sad that we came to an end, but I got to go to high school, like be in a High School Musical and be on the cheer team. And that's an experience I had really longed for, but I had always just, you know, put all my time and energy into pureNRG because I loved that as well. So it just kind of came to the decision that, you know, we had had a great career and we had, you know, really succeeded at our mission. And we felt like this was our time to kind of move on. And so Caroline and I talk all the time.
Good.
And Jordan and I talk too. And so still, you know, bittersweet looking back on it, but I'm really happy for where I am now and the opportunities that I have. And, you know, when you look back on things and you're able to say like, yeah, this all happened for a reason. And I've really reached that point too. So I'm thankful for that. After pureNRG ended, I actually went to South Africa for 8 weeks and studied abroad. I was really excited at first, and then I was really nervous because I was like, wow, like that was my first kind of independent experience without Caroline or Jordan, because we had done so much together for so long and traveled together for so long, I was so scared at first. I remember crying on the plane there because I was like, I'm going halfway around the world and I'm 16 years old and I had just broken my foot. So I was like in a boat, and I met some amazing people there, and it was a really good time because it forced me to be independent and to really like trust God, because I couldn't do anything else. Like I just had to trust him, and it ended up being an amazing experience. And I loved my host family and I loved it. But I actually went and studied abroad because I was like, this has been my life for so long, and I have to restart, and I have to challenge myself to like get out of my comfort zone and stuff. So a lot of people don't know that, but fun fact.
Yeah. One last pureNRG topic though, and I need to ask this because we are living in a time, an era of revivals and reboots. So
yes,
is a pureNRG reunion a possibility? Maybe a tour, an acoustic album? What might the fans need to expect?
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. But I know that Caroline is getting her master's to be a teacher, and who knows what Jordan's up to. So I think that would be amazing, but I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe when I meet up with Caroline this summer, we can sing a song or something.
Maybe we'll get a good Instagram post.
we do those every once in a while because it's really hard to meet up. Our schedules are so busy. We usually do these like 3-hour long FaceTime calls where we do things like doing our homework or something, and we just like are on the phone with each other just to have that like company or something. But I wish that would be so fun.
Well, and it's good to know you all stay in touch though, and talk and see each other when you can. Now, after pureNRG, you continued performing and you starred on a TV show called iShine KNECT. You also starred in numerous theater productions. So talk about some of those gigs.
Yeah, so iShine was so much fun. And the reason I ended up joining iShine is because even though pureNRG ended, I wasn't done kind of with that mission, and that I still felt that there was a need for that tween kind of age. And so that's when I actually ended up joining iShine. I did that for a few summers, and the summer experience is so unique. So we filmed it at Trinity Broadcast Network, which is in Twitty City, which is in Hendersonville, Tennessee, like Conway Twitty's home. And he has a recording studio on this property, video studio, a whole like stage that usually is used for filming, I think, live church services, and like a gift shop. And then it's his house. And behind his house is a swimming pool and then this giant duplex. And so he originally built this for him and his children to live there. So they were all close together. I don't know if that dream ever really became a reality. I'm not sure of the history there. But we would live in these duplexes right on the property where the show was filmed. And it was so fun. So we would film all day long from like 8 to 5. And then from 5 to 9, we like just swam in the pool. We'd play like tag outside. We'd all make dinner together. And it was so much fun because this whole experience was all about like fellowship and being together and then getting to do the show. I have all this film experience, and it's really great to put that on my resume and performance reel now. I also went on tour with them for a little bit. And I remember talking to the headmistress of my school about it. And I said, I got this opportunity to go on tour with iShine. And I was like, I am probably going to have to miss like a few days of school. And like, what are your thoughts on this? Because like I went to a rigorous all girls private school, and my headmistress was so cool about it. She said, maybe you're going to have a B, but you're going on tour. And when else are you going to do that? And isn't that a better life experience than getting a B in calculus? Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, that is so true. You have to take the opportunities that life gives you and just run with them. And so they were really cool about me kind of pursuing that dream as well. And it was really nice to have their support on that.
Well, and then you've also starred in lots of theater productions. Do you want to kind of list your roles there or some of the shows you've been in?
Yes. So in high school, I did a few different things. I did some straight plays as well as musicals. And then in college, I actually was a double major in opera performance and theater. And that really gave me the choice of doing the theater productions and the music productions. So my very first year, I was in Rent, which is like a rock musical. And it was pretty different from anything that I was in before. And I actually like played a girl who was homeless. And that was like my first show in college. So it was kind of cool to have that open me up to all the different opportunities that, the college has to offer. And then my second year, I got to be in the show Avenue Q. So I got to learn how to use puppets, and I wasn't very good at puppetry, but I know how to use them. And it's really interesting and it's a really hard art form. So I have so much respect now for even watching Sesame Street. I'm like, wow, that is so amazing. And if you can make it look easy, then that's definitely a skill. My junior year, I got to be in 2 different productions. I got to do this show called Martian Chronicles, which is a new musical and workshop. So it's never been produced. I also got to be in the show called Street Scene, which is an opera, like a straight opera. It was really cool to be in that. It had like a 40-person cast. And then my senior year, I did a little night music. So a traditional Sondheim piece. And that was really fun too. And then in addition to that, I was in an a cappella group, which was a blast. So we did concerts 2 or 3 times a semester. And with the release of the Pitch Perfect movies, a cappella has become such a popular thing now, especially on college campuses. So our concerts were really so much fun because the crowd would be so hyped just from like seeing the movies and stuff. And we always got to do kind of new music. And actually, we recorded a CD, and I keep forgetting that we've recorded 2 CDs. So technically, I have 2 more CDs out, and I have a solo on the second one.
And what's the story on how you became Miss Oxford last year? I mean, was pageant queen on your to-do list? What happened there?
That is a great story. So I'm a Chi Omega, woo woo, and my little has done pageants. And so she had actually done this Miss Oxford pageant. She was like, you already have a talent, like you sing opera. And I was really involved in my church in Ohio. So I had done some events with them to fundraise for this one organization in Nashville called Thistle Farms. She was like, everything is already done. You should just go for it and try it. The Miss America organization requires you to have a talent, and a service organization like a philanthropy or platform, evening gown and bathing suit. So I went home, I pulled out my recital dress for my senior recital. I pulled out a bathing suit I just had. I kind of pulled together my resume and my platform statement. And I was like, all right, here we go. Let's see. So I went into my interview. I did the whole pageant, and I honestly was just doing it with my little. I thought it was great. And then they went to call the winner, and they said my name. And I was so surprised because I was like, I was just here for fun. But it was so great. And actually, it was a prelim to Miss Ohio. They were like, yes, congratulations. Like, you've qualified for Miss Ohio, and that's in June. Not thinking I was going to win the pageant. I had actually already accepted a theater contract to go from May to October. And then luckily it ended up working out that my contract that I had accepted over the summer, they let me delay it to start in August. I ended up going to Miss Ohio in June. And again, same sort of experience. The girls were all so sweet and so supportive. I did the same opera talent, and I actually won talent on the first night, and I won talent on the final night. And I also ended up getting like a classical award, and I made it in the top 10. And it was so much fun, especially just like being so new to everything. Kind of one of those situations you fell into, but also just with all the circumstances, I feel like God was like, yep, you got to try it. You just got to take the opportunities given to you. It's a scholarship organization. So I got like $3,000 to help pay off my student loans, which is amazing. I was like, wow, these people are so nice.
Yeah. Even though it was unexpected. That's awesome. Well, as you've entered another chapter of your life now, post-grad, you've started a blog called Sweet Caroline Grace. So talk about what's featured content-wise and what got you interested in blogging.
I follow a couple of like lifestyle bloggers on Instagram. I really admired like kind of their fashion advice and also everyday advice. And I ended up starting a blog this October. And I kind of remember thinking, now what? Like, I just did this contract. It was great. But now what do I do? Like, what are my next steps? And so I just kind of found myself writing about how I honestly felt about my life, because I feel like the transition after you graduate is so hard and nobody wants to talk about it because, one, it's too hard. Nobody wants to relive it. And two, you don't feel like it's okay to be lost and confused about this time. But really, it's the first time in your life where you don't know what's next, because your whole life growing up, you go to kindergarten, then you go to middle school, then you go to high school, then you go to college, then you graduate. And then it's like nobody's telling you where to go after that. Like there are no social norms.
Right.
Maybe I'm the only one writing about it, and maybe nobody still wants to admit it, but at least somebody would feel like it was okay. And so I've actually had a few people reach out to me and be like, wow, I really appreciated reading that because I feel that way.
Oh, I am right there with them.
So that's kind of what I started it as. And I've done some style stuff and I've done some like travel advice. So I'm still trying to figure out my exact niche and exact audience. But that's really what I started it as, because we all are in the same boat, but we don't talk about it. So we don't know that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I think that it would be really fun to get you to do this little rapid fire round. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes. Yes. I'm nervous.
Okay. Here we go. Whit from Whit minute starting now. Favorite color?
Blue.
Biggest fear?
Not being successful in life.
Favorite dance move?
Chicken. I don't know.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Call or text?
Call.
Favorite emoji?
The one with the winky and the tongue out.
Hidden talent?
Celine Dion impersonation.
Right. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Favorite movie?
When Harry Met Sally.
Guilty pleasure TV show?
It used to be the Doodle Bops, but now it's The Crown.
Are you kidding me? The Doodle Bops? Oh my goodness. Okay, superpower you wish you had?
Snap transportation.
Biggest pet peeve?
People saying
Favorite food?
mac and cheese.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Cookies and cream.
Favorite place to shop?
Nordstrom.
Celebrity crush?
Ooh. Hugh Jackman.
Favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Favorite day of the week?
Tuesday.
Dream car?
Honda Pilot. Hybrid.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
And there goes the timer. Okay, that's the end of the minute. As we start to finish here, as someone who's grown up as an entertainer, what advice would you give to young performers who want to do what you've done?
I would definitely tell them to do what is right for them in that moment. I had a really great mentor that told me, whenever you find yourself not knowing what to do, ask yourself, what is the best step for you right now? That way you can really narrow things down and think of things for day by day and not long term. It's good to have long-term goals, but what is good for you right now? And that's something I even ask myself today over and over. And it's as simple as, I need to make my bed, I need to brush my teeth, and I need to walk out the door. Or it's, I need to go to this audition and I need to smile. It's such an easy thing to think about. All the little things equal something greater.
Awesome. All right. And we've talked about your performing background. And what would you say are your hopes and dreams for the future?
So my hopes and dreams for the future are definitely some type of professional performance. And I don't know if that is more film work or if it's trying to be on Broadway. I think I change my mind every day. I love singing. I think singing is kind of my passion. Dancing is probably my strongest out of the three, singing, dancing, and acting, but singing is my passion. So I would love to do something that involves that. I'm really open to anything, but definitely something involving the arts. I know that they're going to be a part of my life and whatever I do. And whether I hold a job in a different profession or not, I know that I'm still going to incorporate them in my life, whether that's singing in the church choir or doing community theater or something. It's something that I definitely still want to be in my life. And so right now, that's kind of what I'm doing, is kind of figuring out the next step and just auditioning in the Ohio area for different theaters. So I'm looking forward to that. And we'll see if I have any good news for you coming up soon.
Okay, we'll stay tuned. And finally, time to promote the socials. Where can listeners find you online?
Yes, you can go to my website at www.carolinegracewilliams.com. And that has my blog. It also has my performance stuff if you're interested in seeing that. And my Instagram is Sweet Caroline Grace 1. I don't have a Twitter.
Okay. Well, we definitely got to say also, pureNRG music is available across all streaming services, I do believe. So go back
It
and
is.
get nostalgic for sure there. So, yeah. Well, Caroline Grace Williams, thanks so much for being on Wit from Wit Radio. This has been so great, and it's been an honor. Like I said at the top, it's been an honor.
It's been so fun. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad that I could get to work with you, and I look forward to hopefully doing something again soon in the future.
Absolutely. All right.